So Scouting had been a source of leaders of the decolonization process. Scouting had been a source of resistance to racial segregation laws. Scouting had been a source of empowering of women in societies where they were not, where they had no right to vote or right to have an equal treatment in society. Or Scouting today in some countries is not Scouting as an organization, Scouting as a movement. So Scouting as a movement is all of this, and Scouting as a movement today is also a source of reaction, particularly in the United States, against public discrimination to homosexuals.
好，所以它就是童子军呢，就是一种社会转变的一个机制或者是一个动力，就是说它在过去可以看得到，就是说在去殖民化的过程中，童子军帮助这个国家去建立这个国家的一些认同也好，或者是等等的，我说的比较多哈。但是它可能比如说在女权这个是促进妇女的一个参与或者投票权，童子军在这个方面起的一些作用，甚至于在美国这个童子军对于所谓的反对同性恋这件事情，他们也会有所去发生。
So let me finish by going back to this idea of self-education.
那我现在再回过头来讲这个所谓的自我教育或自我发展的这个事情上。
In the last 15 or 20 years, in all the world, all countries are being very worried about the performance of school.
就是在过去15、20年间呢，就是世界各国大家就开始对于他们这个学校的这个或者是学生的这个能力的表现上面感到忧心。
People realize that the idea of a teacher with knowledge that gives the knowledge to the empty box does not work anymore. Because if now I'm saying something that sounds kind of strange to you, you just take your phone, look a little bit, and discover that what I'm saying is wrong. So the idea of an individual that retains the knowledge is not real anymore.
就是说，大家都觉得好像是说具有知识的老师去灌输知识给这个好像是综合这个学生，这个事情是行不通的。就好像你们现在拿起手机再查一查就可能会觉得我说的是不对的。所以说，如果我们只是说有一个人拥有全部的知识，这个事情是行不通的。
Now, the question though is how you measure the performance of school. How you could see if the school works well or not. And around 14 years ago, the Organization for Development and Cooperation in Europe, the OCDE, established a system of evaluation called PISA, P-I-S-A.
所以就是说，传统的学校教育事实上是行不通的，但你怎么样去衡量学校的一个教育？所以他讲的 OCD 欧洲发展基金会。应该是这个名称可能我有翻错，但是他们就是去，我想 PISA report 大家都耳熟能详嘛，就江师大的学生们所以他们就是提出了这个 PISA report。
The PISA report basically evaluates the performance on math, on reading comprehension, and on science, which is something that economists had called cognitive skills.
那这个 PISA 考试，它其实强调的是数学、阅读理解，还有科学的一个能力。那事实上，这个就是我们讲的所谓的一个认知的能力或认知的技巧。
Now, the PISA report is very relevant because it's the first time in the history that you have something that allows you to compare your performance as a country with the performance of other countries in the world.
那他觉得 PISA report 很重要，因为他这是第一次可以就是说这个国家的学生的表现可以跟另外一个国家的学生表现来做比较。
And because everybody is realizing that the system of our schools is something that doesn't work anymore, countries have started to copy the model of the neighbor. So people in Taiwan maybe go and copy the system of Japan. People from Japan go and maybe copy the system of Korea. People of Korea look what Americans are doing. Americans are trying to see what Europeans are doing. And Europeans look at the results of Eastern Asian countries and try to do the same.
那就是说，因为大家都觉得自己国家的学校可能出了问题，所以就是去看别的国家，所以台湾可能看日本，日本可能看韩国，韩国可能去看美国，美国呢再去看欧洲，那欧洲又看这个 PISA report 的 performance， 可能又来看亚洲国家。
So some economists have started in the last decade to try to see if they could detect which indicators could better predict the success of young people.
所以有一些国家开始去探讨哪一个指标可以用来成功，就是可以非常成功的，可以预测一个人未来的成功，就是有没有哪一个指标可以做这样的预测。
So to detect success means to try to understand what actions really make a difference in 10 years' time in how successful you are going to be in life, economically speaking, professionally speaking, family speaking.
那这个就是说，你现在有什么样的一个行动可以预测你未来10年以后的一个成功？那这个成功可能是在经济上面，在这个专业上面，或者在家庭生活上面。
What they discovered is that what are called cognitive skills are not really good predictors of success.
那他们就是发现到所谓的这个认知技巧并不是相当好的一个指标，可以预测这样的成功。
So to be very good at maths, to be very good at reading comprehension, and to be very good at science is something that certainly is very useful in your life. But that doesn't mean that if you are good in these three things, you are going to be successful in your profession, in your university, or in your family life.
但是说就是说我们在这个数理能力、阅读认识能力或者科学上的一个能力这虽然是很重要，可是并不一定能够完全预测你在这个未来的生活上面、大学上面或者是工作上面的一个成功。
So what they discovered is that the elements that are closer to be predictors of success are something that everybody had always thought that were relatively relevant, which they call now non-cognitive skills.
反而是说能够预测这些预测你成功这些指标反而是大家过去以为认为不重要的，所以他们把它称之为非认知的技巧能力。
So non-cognitive skills are many things that many of you already have. For instance, self-control. Someone provokes you and you don't react. For instance, persistence. You fail and you try again instead of feeling defeated. For instance, sense of working together. You know that sometimes cooperating with another are going to make the two of you better than if you work alone.
那这些非认知的技巧其实有很多东西，但有些是可能大家已经知道的，比如说你能够自我控制有人对你生气的时候你能够制止，那或者说你能够坚持，失败了还一试再试或者是说你知道团结合作的重要性。
Traditionally, when in education they measure the academic results of schools that were, let's say, middle upper class or schools of lower class, they thought that because the ones of middle upper class had better academic results, that meant, and then they were more successful, academic results were the ones that predict success. But suddenly we discovered that it was this other element that explained the difference.
那过去我们可能会认为是说啊，中上阶级的这个小孩子，或者是比经济低下阶层的小孩子啊，这些学术上的一个成就，可能是来自于认知技巧的这些等等的一个学习。但是根据这样的一个研究之后，他们觉得是另外一回事。
So if you come from a family where you had been abused, when you had been beaten, where it had been gender violence, where there had been drugs, where there had been alcohol abuse, where had been anxiety for the poverty, you cannot develop these non-cognitive skills that you naturally could develop if you come from a family where all these things haven't been there.
那他是说，这个研究发现，如果是你来自于说你是被虐待，或者是被打，或者是性别的歧视或者是家里有用毒品、酗酒，或者是对贫困、焦虑的这些等等的这样一个家庭，就比较不容易培养你的小孩子在非认知的能力上面就是能够去培养他的能力。
So the biggest discovery is that non-cognitive skills are not something that come from your family. It's something like sports skills, something that you could train, something that you could develop.
所以最大的一个研究的一个发现是说，这些非认知的技巧并不是来自于家庭而是可能是来自于这种体育的活动，那是一种可以被培养、被训练出来的。
So when we say that scouting is contributing to the self-development of individuals, of young people, what we are saying is that the role of scouting is to facilitate that young people could develop these non-cognitive skills, these elements of character, of personality, that make them different in the way they learn, in the way they live, in the choices they take in life, in the way they live their future development.
所以说我们讲到童子军是培养青少年的一个自我发展，也就是说我们童子军的角色就是要去能够去协助青少年去发展出这些非认知能力的这些技巧，能够培养他的一个人格，促进他的一个发展，然后就是对他未来的一个生命能够有所掌握。
And one of the most important things, and with this I finish, is that give each one of the members, each one of the individuals, the capacity to define what is for them success.
那我最后要讲的就是说，其实童子军就是说要去给予每一个人他自己能够去决定他自己所谓的成功是什么。